Welcome to Just Another Hunting Podcast. This is Steve with Wayupwest Outdoors in collaboration with Joseph from Wayupwest Adventures. We dive deep into the world of hunting, exploring tactics, gear, and unforgettable stories from the field. Join us each week as we interview seasoned experts and passionate enthusiasts who share insights and experiences to help you enhance your hunting skills. Whether you're a novice seeking guidance or a veteran hunter looking for new challenges, this is your go-to resource for all things hunting. Tune in each week to step up your game and to connect with the community who shares your love for the great outdoors.
What's up, guys? This is Steve with Wayupwest Outdoors. And before we hop into this episode, I need to ask you a favor. Head on over to the show notes and leave us a review, whether that's on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you're listening. We're trying to grow the show, and we need you guys to leave a review and maybe tell us what you like about the show. That's going to inspire these podcasting platforms to push our stuff out in front of more viewers, more listeners. So take a couple seconds, hit pause, leave us a review, and we'll hop back into the episode. All right, guys, welcome back to another episode. Today, I've got Steve Lauder on with Wayupwest Outdoors. I've been following their stuff for quite a few years. They've been putting out some awesome stuff on YouTube. One thing I've noticed is the quality, which I really appreciate, the quality of 4K, slow motion stuff that doesn't look all choppy. So, yeah, man, how you doing?
Good, man. Thanks for having me on. Been a while since I've done a podcast, so.
Yeah, I think I heard you guys on the Go Hunt podcast a year ago or something like that.
I think it's been like 2 or 3 years now. So it feels like, at least. I don't know. That one was fun. Those guys are fun.
Yeah. Where was that at again?
We're at Tack at Utah. Yeah, we're in Utah at Tack. We did that one. Went to their house, the Airbnb that they rented.
Oh, okay.
So,
yeah, that's probably pretty fun.
Yeah, it was a good time. They've got a good crew. So
yeah, I'm looking forward to doing some of these in person at some point.
Yeah, I really like the in-person ones are definitely fun. Seem a little more easy.
Yeah. Living out here in Washington makes it pretty tough for me to connect with people. That's for sure.
Yeah, I bet.
Yeah,
everybody's kind of in Idaho and everyone's on Idaho, Montana, Wyoming now. At least a lot of guys are.
Yeah, a lot of guys moved to Idaho. That's for sure. I'd love to move there myself. I spend a lot of time there, but it's just tough with kids and a career here to just pick up and move.
Are you on the east side of Washington at least? Are you close?
No, I'm on the coast. So
you're long. So I grew up on the coast of California. So
okay.
It's a long ways from everything. So
yeah,
in the open to that, people are gonna stop listening.
That's okay. I'm used to it. It's kind of funny when I run into people in the woods. I tell them I'm from California, and then I joke. I'm like, not much better, but I'm from Seattle. How's that?
It's slightly better.
Which isn't true either, but I just kind of like to joke around with it because it's funny at this point.
Yeah. Yeah. People don't like out-of-staters.
Yeah, but we all are, right?
Yeah. No kidding. I don't like seeing anybody in the woods. I don't really care what their license plate says.
Exactly. So. I feel the same way. Yeah. Well, it looked like you had a phenomenal 2024, man. I'm kind of curious. Where did your season start? What state? What tag?
I started in Utah. So just drew that Utah tag this year. It was like 1% draw. It's just dumb luck, 2 points. Just somebody's got to draw it kind of thing. That's why we play the points and play the fun. And that hunt was wild. I'd never hunted. It was like Jurassic Park, man. They're just bugles all day, every day. I mean, the very first we hunted, I went and scouted and found some just absolute giants and just bulls everywhere. And then come the season, it was September 1st, and we watched a 340 to 350 bull fight over a freaking wallow, screaming their heads off. And hunt was unreal. I mean, it was what elk hunting's supposed to be. It was, yeah. And we she ended up killing a bull. It went 345, but it was basically a 5-point. As it broke off. It broke off its fifth on one side. One side had like a 2-inch fifth. And then he broke off like 12 to 14 inches of one of his sword. So we figured if he had all of his tines, he probably would have been around the 370, 370. He was an absolute just old dinosaur slob of a bull. It was cool. It was a fun hunt. It was wild. just
Yeah.
giant bulls and passing bulls that we would never pass in Wyoming, and it was painful. It was a cool hunt. Putting in for out of state is definitely. I'm gonna expand again this year. We put in for a lot out of states, and I'm gonna expand to a couple more states this year because yeah, that one was cool. It's definitely not Idaho.
Yeah. Yeah. So, how many days did it take to fill that tag?
Think we hunted 11 days total, all said and done. We did a quick trip because that season started pretty early. It started the last couple days of August, and we ran down there due to work and a couple days down there, mostly just kind of feeling the area out. I went and scouted down once with a buddy in the middle of the summer and saw the velvet bulls. And then we went, Jess and I hunted a couple days and then went back for like a really long stint. And then that one was, I think she ended up killing on day 8 on her second trip. It wasn't for the lack of elk or whatever, but it was just, it was just looking for that right bull. We didn't want to, be overly greedy, but at the same time, didn't want to, kill a 260, 270 bull or something on that tag that when we're seeing bulls that clear 300 every single day. So,
Yeah.
but it took us a while. It was a little bit of a learning curve. It was a 10,000 foot, but sage and a little bit different country than we're used to hunting. So took a little bit of a learning curve and figuring out the country. That's the one fun thing about the new country and hunting Utah and out of state is I got to learn it. And then once you learn it, they change. So not like that home stomping grounds where you're like, they always go through this saddle. And then when you're in a new area, they go through that saddle and you're like, oh, should have seen that coming. But
Yeah. Yeah. I imagine that's tough too. I mean, I've never drawn a tag of like even close to that caliber, but
neither have I. she's
it's
got she's got some luck that most people don't have. She's drawn some pretty sweet tags.
yeah, that's awesome.
But
I mean, hey, you got to play the game. I apply in almost every Western state, I think, at this point. And I did pick up a Nevada deer tag with 1 point as a return tag. Now it wasn't a like phenomenal area by any means, but still saw some good bucks, which was fun.
yeah, even some of the Nevada areas that aren't that great are still pretty damn good. Depending,
Yeah.
especially depending where you're coming from. So
Yeah. That's what I struggle with coming from the coast of Washington is like, Roosevelt bulls, they have huge bodies, but obviously they do get huge racks, but not very, you don't see very many of them. Right.
right.
And then black-tailed deer, which in my opinion, killing a mature black-tailed deer is probably one of the hardest things you could do. But even at that, like they're not 160 inch, 170, 180 inch mule deer. So when I get over east and start seeing bucks, I'm like, that looks like a good buck. That looks like a good buck.
Yeah.
That looks like a good buck.
Everything looks big. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So I've always kind of struggled with that. But yeah. So did you guys do a lot of calling or did you do a lot of spot and stock? Because that country's a little more open.
We did a lot of calling. We did a little spot and stock early on, but they were so vocal. It was pretty wild early on. Obviously, I was the caller and filmer and everything. Um, But in Idaho and a lot of the other states we've hunted elk in, you kind of have to be kind of timid with the call. It ends up spooking them off. And this one, it almost seemed opposite. I was really light calling, really trying to be very, very easy on it. And it almost seemed like the less I called, the less interested they were. And the more noise and the more excited and the more, more calling I did, I was able to actually keep their attention. There's a little bit of learning curve on that part. Early on, I was kind of treating it like Idaho, where they were going to be call shy and stuff. No, they weren't call shy. They came to every bugle. They answered every freaking bugle. I mean, I mean, we were chasing bulls down, running them down. And I mean, yeah, we did a lot of calling. There was not much spot stock. It was actually pretty thick country when you got into the trees where they bedded. I mean,
Okay.
it was southern Utah, so it's hot. Early September, it was getting hot midday. The other wild thing I noticed was,
All right, guys, quick interruption of the podcast. This is Steve with Mountain to Coast Outdoors, and I just wanted to hop on here to remind you that we have a bunch of discount codes in the show notes with awesome companies like Seek Outside, Go Hunt, Graxaw, Mountain Tough Training, Slayer Calls, Initial Ascent, and Treeline Pursuits Academy. If you're like me and you want to save a little bit of money, make sure you head on over to the show notes. We have direct links to their websites and the codes listed for you. So check them out, support the show. All right, let's get back to the episode.
just a little bit of a temperature change would set them off. Like in Idaho, it feels like you have to have a big cold snap, and then they'll get really active. In Idaho, it was like some cloud cover. or I'm sorry, in Utah, it was like some cloud cover and they would go off. We had a couple hot days or just bluebird sky days, no clouds. And it was a little quiet. It was a little more slow hunting, still really good hunting, but slower than what they were getting on other days. And then the cloud cover came back and man, it just all day. They were just lit up all day. So I
Yeah.
actually killed them like September 8th. And normally in most states you're waiting for that like third week of September before they start getting really after it. And
Yeah.
September 8th, they were going. I mean, they were fighting and we were getting into rut fest and rut balls and it was wild. It was cool.
Sounds like that's
So,
what a draw tag's supposed to be like. So that's awesome.
yes. Yeah, it was everything we wanted and more, no doubt.
So have you guys, I'm assuming you haven't killed a bull of that caliber before that, or have you guys?
No, that's her biggest bull to date by 80 inches or something like that. Yeah, that was the first bull that we helped her dad kill a bull a handful of years ago in Idaho on a general tag. It went 345. I think her bull went 355 now that I say that, but his bull went 345. So we've been around a couple bulls like that in the past, but for us actually pulling the trigger, no, that was the first bull that one of us pulled the trigger onto that caliber. That was pretty
Yeah.
capitalized. It was cool.
I'm curious. So on the ground, when it came time to start packing meat, did you notice like a huge difference in body size? And
Huge there and skin. They're freaking like skinning them out was like you get on that bull, you get on that neck hide, and it's just
Mhm.
man, it's a pain in the ass to get through. It seemed like the entire bull was like that. Every piece of skin was like that neck hide. It was all tough to get through. So yeah, he was, and then the size of the legs, size of the fronts, everything seemed to have 10, 15 pounds more than like what a typical like, you know, 280 bull or something that we typically kill would have on. So he was an old bull. I'll be curious to see. 'Cause Utah requires like teeth getting sent in, so we should be able to find out what the age is. But he was old. He was the biggest bodied bull we saw the entire trip. We saw probably a couple bulls that scored a little bit better, so a couple 7 points and stuff that were probably a little bigger on score wise. But by far the oldest, biggest bull we saw the entire trip. So, which is really
Man,
cool.
yeah, that's awesome. So after you guys knocked that bull down, what was the next trip for you?
Wyoming. So that was the kind of that was the main idea this year. We knew we had enough points to draw Wyoming, and then Utah was kind of a fluke, so we had to kind of change gears. So I was up in Wyoming, so we started archery hunting in Wyoming about halfway through the season. That was fun. A lot of raghorns. So anybody listening that hasn't like wants to just kill like a raghorn bull with a bow, that would be a really good place to go. We called in a lot of raghorns every single day. They'd come in, and but I was just looking for that next caliber bull, especially when you have Wyoming, you have that rifle tag to kind of lean back on
Yeah.
afterwards. So I was being definitely a little more picky. We had a couple bulls, a couple close calls, a little bit of spot stock. They didn't talk nearly as much as Utah, obviously, so it kind of changed tactics. But got into them a fair amount. Got into a couple big bulls. One big bull come in like 12 yards, just too close. As soon as I drew, it was game over. I took my one chance of drawing, and it just 12 yards away. He was already kind of on edge when he was getting too close to the calls. But yeah, I got him and put a stock on that bull, called that bull in, just couldn't quite make it happen. So couldn't make it happen in Wyoming and archery, and then went back with a rifle, and a buddy Towson, he helped us out and kind of showed us around a little bit on some of the spots, and we got on a couple big bulls, and then the day after everybody left, everyone else had to go back to work. I had a couple extra days that everyone left. I finally killed a bull, so I had a solo. I had to pack him out by myself, but it was a fun trip. Wyoming's cool too. It's just a lot. You get one of those tags, and you're not like, I know you in Idaho. You get like now, especially now, you get like a zone. You have to hunt deer, so you're kind of restricted here.
Yeah.
Wyoming, you get free reign of such a giant area. It's almost like, man, where do I go? And so Wyoming was a cool state. That was the first time I hunted Wyoming, and I really, really am sad that I'm gonna have to wait another 5 years to get a tag for Wyoming, because that was a fun hunt. It was just a general tag too. So
Yeah. I was going to ask you how
yeah,
many points. I have 5 points. So does my brother.
it's
So
you can draw this year. It took us
yeah.
5 points. I'd be curious because they changed a whole lot of stuff last year about with the special tags and breaking up the general zones and stuff. So I'll be curious to see what the minimums were to draw the zone this year. But we had 5 points.
Yeah. Yeah. I've been looking at the draws on Go Hunt, and I actually chatted with Trail a couple podcasts ago. It looks like 5 is going to draw the general, but you just never know, So, I've been kind of thinking about maybe doing the special, but I don't really want to spend $2,000 on an elk tag. But I'm kind of at a point right now where I drew Montana last year, so like I need to draw Wyoming to fill my September at this point, or I'll be hunting like Oregon or something over the counter. So, I'm really hoping we draw Wyoming. And I hear you on, like, when you draw the tag, there's so many options. I've been doing a lot of e-scouting and, just a ton of research and trying to narrow down a couple of units. It's tough. There's so many options.
Yeah. So, yeah. And there's a lot of, Wyoming's a little bit different with the opens and closes. And man, there's rifle tags that open in freaking like
mid-September.
Yeah. Like mid-September. So you're freaking going heavy rut with a rifle. I mean, it's wild. I mean, I did talk to a couple of guys that I ran into over there that went to a couple of those zones and tried those early rifle. They say it's pretty wild with people. They said it was. So I talked to others. They call it pumpkin patch over there with little orange hats running around all over the place. An opening day, our first opening day rifle, I think within like 3/4 of a mile of us, we saw like over 15 people. It was with people. You definitely have to work and get away. You have to work a little bit to get out away from people. If you do anything easy, a trail that goes into a spot, you will find people. There's horses, and Wyoming's a hunting state. So every local is out on opening day. So we found that out. We saw a ton of people on opening day. So it was pretty wild. This is most hunters I've ever seen anywhere in my life. So, but
I don't plan on doing the rifle hunt unless I have to. It's just, I've been really struggling with the wilderness thing because
that sucks.
Yeah. I'm not a huge fan of that. I get it. And I'm sure the residents love it. And I don't, they should have, the benefit from it. They live there. I get that for sure. But it seems like the areas that have the higher quality bulls are in those wilderness areas, according to the research I've been doing.
Definitely.
So I've been trying to like weigh the options of like, do you hunt the perimeters of those areas where there is public? But then you're limited to kind of a smaller area, and I'm sure there's going to be some more pressure in those zones, or do I go to these areas where it's a lot more public, less wilderness, and I can pretty much hunt the whole unit? So I've got a few areas picked out, but that's going to be a tough one to decide on when the time comes.
Yeah, it was hard. I wrestled that same thing, and I ultimately kind of chose to pick the wide open areas because there's a lot of roadless in Wyoming, so you can get away from some of that stuff. There's not a whole lot where you can drive in glass and look. So there's a lot of areas to hike. And as soon as you get off the roads, you can definitely find elk. It was, if you're just looking for that bigger bull, I was, it made it a little more challenging, just passing raghorns and stuff. But basically, what I was getting at was I didn't want to be limited of hunting an edge, All
right, guys, quick pause to the episode. If you want to support the show, we would really appreciate it. It's going to help us keep this thing rolling. Head on over to mountaintocoastoutdoors.com/shop. Pick up a hat, maybe a sweatshirt or a t-shirt. Use code podcast at checkout. Save 10% and help the show grow. All right, guys, back to the podcast.
And not being able to go over, I wanted to be able to go anywhere, just have the freedom of going any direction, I guess. So that's what I ultimately decided. We checked out a lot of different country and saw a lot of Wyoming and just bounced the units as they opened and closed. And all of it was good. Like all of it was good. So
finding elk wasn't the problem. It was just finding the caliber of bull you were looking for.
Yeah. Archery season took a little bit. There was a lot of raghorns where I originally picked. So there's kind of a little bit of a learning curve. And after I talked to a few people after that, they all kind of said like, yeah, that's kind of a raghorn area. So, and then found one really good bull. I screwed up on that. I already talked about, but, and then a little help from some local guys, and I was able to turn up a good one. So.
You know what that bull scored that you shot roughly, or have you taped him yet?
Yeah, he went 320.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. I'm stoked about that bull.
Oh, dude, I bet. So. I've been dying like everybody else to kill a bull over 300. I've got handful of 6-point bulls, but they're all like, probably 260, 270, I've never
Yeah.
really taped them, but I'm guessing they're in that, higher 200 area, somewhere in there.
Yeah. That's when a lot of times I see that whale tail, it's pretty much game over for me. That's all I got to see that 6-point. And it's good
Yeah.
enough for me.
Yeah. As
So,
soon as I see 6, I mean, honestly, with a bow hunting these over the counter units, if I see pretty much any 5-point, it's probably going to get an arrow in it. But getting
yeah.
to that point in my hunting career, or whatever you want to call it, where, I mean, I feel like it's time, man. Got to start passing on some more animals to get into that next age class.
Yeah, that's exactly where I'm at right now. I've been trying to pass on all that smaller things, and luckily I'm successful enough. My freezer's staying pretty full, so I don't really have to worry about the meat too much, and really get
Yeah.
that next step of challenge, you know.
Yeah.
So
So,
yeah,
when you did that Wyoming hunt, you were solo. Were you able to film that stuff?
I filmed everything but the shot. The
Yeah.
we had entire film, the entire film done up until the shot. Dude, I couldn't even tell you what happened, but I'm watching this bull through the trees. I bedded him down in the trees, and I got across from him, and I was only like 300 yards, kind of in the open. I was really nervous, actually. I crested this hill. It was an open ridge, and I moved across it really slow, and I got up against a tree, and I sat down, set my tripod up, and I just started glassing through those trees. And it was a dark timber north face, and I glassed the trees, and glassed the trees, and glassed the trees. I think I was there for like 7 or 8 hours trying to find this bull in the trees. I could never find him. And finally, the sun starts kind of dipping. I could finally got times going through the trees, but he was with another 5-point. And everything, like I have a ton of footage of him going through the trees and all this. I could just see tines and tines and tines. Every once in a while, I catch the whale tail. Okay, that's him. And then he would disappear. And a little backstory: last year, I shot the wrong bull going through the trees. There was a big bull and a small bull going through the trees in Idaho, and I ended up shooting the small bull because the big bull was in the lead. Big bull was in the lead, and then they swapped, and I ended up shooting the small bull. So I was like ultra paranoid of shooting the wrong bull on this one. And so he gave me a couple shots, but I was afraid to take him because I couldn't see his antlers. I didn't know which bull it was. And watching the trees, and I lost track of him for a couple minutes. And I had all the scope, everything all set up and ready to go. And then finally I heard a crunch across the thing, and I looked up, and he had crested the top of the trees and made his way out the top, and probably about 60 yards out into the opening, heading away from me. And I like completely, like, all camera gear was lost. I shut it, like, whatever, I'm killing this bull. Like, I can't let him get away. He gave me one quartered away shot, and I sent it and smacked him, and the rest is history. But I was looking around, I was like, I didn't have a chance. I didn't set up the phone scope, nothing. Just, I was like, I gotta
Yeah.
kill this bull. So
Yeah.
I'd been chasing him for 2 days. So like, I wasn't letting him get away. I saw a couple hunters in that drainage. So I was like, this is my chance. Can't let him walk just because I couldn't get it on footage. So
Yeah.
I got all the hunt filmed except for the shot. So, but it's all right. The hunt is more important to me than the actual filming. So
Yeah. That's on the same boat. Trying to get the kill shot solo is so hard. I mean,
yes, I've vowed pretty heavily not to film myself solo. Yeah, I've lost. I tried years ago on a bear hunt, and I lost a couple really big bears because I didn't get the digiscope set up in time. And I was never again. And I was like, when I'm hunting solo, I'm hunting and photos and short videos. But if I have somebody else there to film, we'll do it. But solo, it's hunting.
yeah.
That's what I love to do. I don't want to ruin it.
Yeah, exactly. I hear you. I mean, I definitely miss kill shots every year too. So same thing. It happens so fast. And I mean, even if you have somebody with you, if they're not familiar with the camera gear, it's impossible.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, you find yourself like trying to tell them how to, zoom in, zoom out, change the aperture, is it too dark or whatever? And it's just like, it's not even worth it.
Pick the right focus point. Yeah.
Yeah. I screwed that up this year. My brother shot a small 5-point raghorn, and I switched to manual focus because there was like a bunch of sage in front of him.
Yeah.
And there was like 30 cows out there. And in the frame of the camera, I thought my focus was money. Like I have a Sony, and I had the red setting on where it shows you like what's in focus and what's out of focus. And I could have swore it was money. And I just finished editing that video today, and it's out of focus. I'm just like,
found that red stuff is not reliable.
No,
I don't know what
I'm not
it
using
is.
that again.
No, I found that stuff not reliable at all.
Are
But
you
yeah,
are you filming an autofocus a lot or manual focus or back and forth?
auto a lot. Yeah, and then
Yeah.
I know a lot of times I use that small, what do you call it? That movable spot.
Yeah.
I use that spot. I use that a lot, like the just that large one, and pick where I want it, and I'll just use that little the joystick in the back to pick where I want focus.
Yeah.
Autofocus is going to find, especially if you're just using that little teeny screen. Autofocus
Yeah.
is going to find focus a lot easier than you are with manual focus. So, especially with running and gunning and
Yeah.
films, this it's hell
It's
trying to
so
get
hard.
stuff in focus. So, especially
Yeah.
animals when going through the trees, going through the bushes, and so luckily a lot of my lenses, I can kind of run the manual focus as well as so when I find it and then use that lens button as a focus hold. So I'll
Yeah.
run the manual focus with the autofocus. So I kind of have that hybrid system look good enough for me. So that works pretty well.
Yeah. Yeah. So are you filming your long stuff through a spotter or you got a big lens?
I got a 70 to 200 and that's pretty good out to 400 yards. Being able when shooting in 4K, you can crop that 200% and still keep pretty high quality. So
Yeah.
400, even out to 500 yards or something, you can get pretty good stuff. But I do still like the digiscope as well because you get that extra close dot. But the 7200 is goes with me everywhere. I love that lens.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I want to pick one of those up, but a lot of the stuff I do self film. So not having
Yeah.
that wider, angle makes it the 70s just too much for self filming. You know what I mean? So,
Yeah.
um, but I could see that that'd be like a really good multi-purpose lens if you're hunting with somebody and you're filming them and you can be 50, 60 yards away and still get a good framing and all that stuff.
Yeah. Get
Um,
nice and tight. What
yeah.
body are
And
you
then,
using?
so, I have the A7S3 now.
Okay.
I've had it just pretty much this season. Started with a Canon T7i and then sold that and a couple lenses and I bought the Canon R6 and then, that was a good camera. It probably did everything I needed it to do, but I really wanted the Sony just because the lens options. The Canons at the time, and even still, they just don't have a lot of full frame options. And the full frame options are Canon lenses, and they're super
Yeah.
expensive. So I was
Yeah.
like, with Tamron and Sigma, with the E mount lenses on Sony, there's just way more options. So ended up selling my Canon stuff, and with that body and those lenses, I was able to buy the A7S3 and then pick up some lenses in the here and there type deal.
Yeah. It's
So
expensive, man. It's taking a long time to build up a kit. Like those things they ain't cheap.
no, man, none of this
But
stuff's cheap. That's for
no,
sure.
none of our, yeah, pick expensive hobbies. Hunting's expensive all by itself. And you throw camera gear on top of it.
Yeah, I
So,
laugh at
especially
I
quality.
got yeah, I got buddies that play golf and stuff, and um, they always I just kind of laugh. I'm like, dude, just my camera body costs more than all your golf clubs. And then you start adding lenses and computers that can handle the 4K footage,
Oh
and it's
yeah.
like it gets expensive fast.
That's one thing I had to learn the hard way was the computer being able to handle it. Didn't even think about it. Switched all that 4K stuff, and I just had a cheap iMac, desktop deal, and man, it bogged down in a hurry. Even proxies and stuff, it didn't
Yeah,
handle it. I talked to a lot of people. They're like, I want to get into filming. And I was like, well, what computer do you run? And they're like, some PC notebook from college. I'm like, not a chance, man. Like, it's
yeah,
not a chance. You're not gonna be able to scroll through pictures at the size of like a freaking 24 megapixel picture. Like, it's yeah. I learned that lesson the hard way. Bought all the camera stuff and I had to buy a computer. So,
Same story, dude. I had just some cheap Dell laptop from Walmart, I think, or Best Buy, like a $700 laptop, and bought the R6, started filming in 4K, threw the footage on Adobe Premiere Pro, and just trying to cut
can't
stuff,
do anything.
just trying to cut it where I wanted to cut, like to end a clip. It would just
Yeah.
lag so much. It was like it would take me for. I'm like, okay, this, and
It's
then oh
painful.
yeah,
It's
time to buy a
just,
computer.
yeah. It's
Yeah,
so painful.
but
But
so after Wyoming, what was did you go chase deer or anything?
yeah, let's see. Um, yeah, then we had a late tag. Let's see, Wyoming. Yeah, Wyoming ended. And then we had a late rifle tag in Idaho. Jess ended up killing a buck in that hunt. Uh, that was fun. Um, Didn't quite see as many caliber deer as I wanted, as I thought I might. Saw maybe one good deer, and I just didn't get the opportunity. I came over the crest, and he was bedded right below me and blew him out, and it was game over. But we spent a few days back there, and she ended up killing a pretty good 3 point. And then it was fun, but I was a little disappointed. I'll try it again. I'm going to try that hunt again. And now that I learned a lot, this is the first time we hunted that unit. But I will go back and try a little bit different tactics this next year. And then after that, had that late archery tag in Utah. And then I was able to kill a buck down there. Oh, so it's probably one of my better bucks I've killed. So that was cool. It took me a day. That never happens.
Yeah, man, you guys had a heck of a year. Sounds
Yeah, it
like.
was a good year. Yeah, a couple bears, couple 3 elk, 2 deer. So yeah, it was a good year. No
Yeah,
complaints.
not even just the amount of animals you guys killed. It sounds like the caliber was pretty good.
Yeah, it was. We're starting to. This year was definitely these last couple of years definitely started passing on the smaller critters, and if you want to kill something big, you can't kill the first small thing that walks in front of you. So
Yeah.
it's hard. It's definitely hard to let things walk. But when you start a year with a couple bears and a 350 whatever inch bull that she's killed everything else after that was just kind of a bonus. So it
Yeah.
made it a little easier to be a little more picky for the rest of the year. So
So for anybody listening to this podcast that might want to get into like filming and YouTube and that sort of stuff, I'm curious about your YouTube channel. Um, I'm gonna put a video out on Sunday evening. But I find myself personally struggling with like when to release a video. Looking at the analytics in the studio and all that stuff, and I feel like I can't figure it out. So I'm curious, what do you think about that stuff?
I don't really I don't really think there is like a good time on YouTube. Tried that tease a video coming out, and I've watched the bounce and all the analytics and stuff. I think it's just if it's a good film, it's going to take off, and if it's a bad one, I've tried the reels and the shorts and the videos, and I don't really think there's a timing thing. I think you might, maybe pre-weekend or something like that, or if your audience is kind of spikes on weekends, might be a good time, but never really even like any kind of posting of pictures on Instagram and stuff. I haven't really found a difference if you post in the morning or the evening or the Saturday or Monday or whatever, man. If it
Yeah.
takes off, it takes off. So I don't know. If it's just a good film and people like it, it'll grab. And if it sucks, if it's boring or some people don't want to watch it, it doesn't. So that's yeah. I don't know. I don't know if I've been doing YouTube videos long enough or doing hunts long enough to really see much of a difference. So a lot of the films I've done well, in at least in my eyes, and what I've hoped for. They've done well, and they continue to do well over the years. So I can't complain.
Yeah.
People seem to like
Yeah.
them.
Yeah. I don't know. Maybe I just think about it too much or worry about it too much. It's something that, you spend hours putting the stuff together. And of course you want it to
Yeah,
do decent. And, it just seems like you can't put your finger on it, which I guess is probably how they want it or how it's supposed to be.
yeah,
Right.
yeah.
But yeah. So, are you going to be putting some stuff out here soon, or have you even started editing any of your
I
footage from this
mean,
year?
I mean, started editing for footage this year. Yeah, where I'm winding down and getting a lot of everything reorganized. I actually just got a new computer. I was running an old M1 and just changed it to the M4 Mac. So I'm switching
Oh,
everything over on the new computer right now and getting reorganized. So
nice.
yeah, I'll start looking through all the footage and see what I got here pretty soon, I think. So, but I
So what do
got
you got
I got
planned
other.
for,
Go ahead.
oh, sorry, go ahead.
Uh, sorry. Um, I don't remember what I was going to say. Go ahead.
All good, all good. Got the puppy. So what do you got
Yeah.
planned for 2025? You still putting your plans together, or do you got stuff pretty well dialed in?
Yeah. I think I'll be going to Colorado for sure. I got to talk to someone who knows about Colorado. I've been putting into Colorado for a really long time, and and every time I start looking into it, Colorado is such one of those states that I kind of get overwhelmed. Same thing. It's just so many freaking areas and so many things. I've got a lot of points in Colorado for deer and elk. So I'm at the point where I need to burn the points. So I need to burn the points in Colorado. So I think I'll definitely be going to Colorado this year. Um, and then I'm kind of getting on that tipping edge of Nevada. I might be able to go to Nevada. So, which would be good because Nevada starts early. So Nevada deer, of course, not elk because elk's like what 25.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I think I might be able to go to Nevada this year, and we're probably going to go to Colorado and then Idaho and Utah and all the normal stuff I do every single year. So, but those are going to be the two states. And then I'm going to I'm going to broaden my horizons down in New Mexico and Arizona and maybe Montana as well. So cover all the states. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Have you hunted
play that
Montana,
drum
like
game.
the Montana deer tag, the November hunt
I
at all?
haven't
Oh, wow.
hunted it. Yeah. So and Montana it's expensive to put in for Montana, isn't it? Like you got to front the money.
Yeah, I believe so.
Yeah, I think that's what I started with all the cheap states, and then now I'm starting to dip my toe into a little more expensive stuff. So
Yeah.
it's like over $1,000 or something like that to put in for Montana. All the other states I put in for is a few $100 here and there, spread over the freaking spring and summer doesn't feel so bad. But
Yeah.
dropping $1,000 on a maybe is it's like a lot.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. And then you got
well,
Wyoming, who holds your money forever. So,
yeah. Well, freaking Utah this year, we drew 2 Utah deer tags and that bull tag. I think we sent like what, 2-3 grand to Utah this year.
yeah, it's not cheap.
But it gets expensive in a hurry. So, but
Yeah.
pay to play the system, unfortunately. But yeah, that's one thing I definitely don't want to see. I don't want to see hunting become a rich man's sport.
Oh man, it feels like it's already gotten there. I mean,
Yeah,
it's so hard to get tags at this point. If you're not playing the game in 3 or 4 states, you're not going to be hunting every year.
yeah,
At least unless you live in Idaho or Montana. If you're someone like
right.
me, you definitely got to fork out the dough to play.
Did
And
you get a tag in Idaho this year?
I
Did
did.
you
I
play that
actually
game?
I actually drove over there for the first time.
Mm,
Um,
that's the new secret that's starting to get out.
yeah, it's not really a secret.
No?
And not in my opinion, not with how many people I saw there.
Oh,
Um,
jeez.
yeah, I got there well before the tag sale. Just put it that way.
Yeah.
Slept outside in front of the door, and I still didn't get the tag I wanted.
Holy smokes, man.
Yeah,
Did you
I
have to go
was
to
like,
Boise?
no. I went to Northern Idaho.
Okay.
So,
Imagine Boise's probably pretty bad.
yeah, I'm not sure actually because I haven't been there yet for the tag sale, but thinking about it, like any major, fish and game office or, sporting goods store that's close to any border, whether it's Montana or Utah or Washington, Oregon. I think if there's a store within like an hour of the border, that's where everyone's going to be at.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, for sure.
telling my brother, I'm like, dude, we need to drive further into like the middle of nowhere, like some small little town with a small sporting goods store that's like 4 hours into Idaho from every direction. Because this is crazy. Like slept outside in front of the door, like had a low number in front of the door and still
Yeah.
didn't get the deer tag I wanted, which was I've got it every other year except for the year I slept outside. I can't believe it. But
Yeah.
it's just getting so hard, you know?
It seems, I don't know, we keep hearing about hunter numbers dropping, but it sure doesn't feel like it when you're in Idaho or Montana, Wyoming. These areas sure doesn't feel like it's dropping at all. So the way it's the
Yeah.
opposite. But I
Yeah. I
know
mean,
even for getting for tags for us as residents is getting challenging. Those, like you said, those little secret sporting goods stores and stuff is kind of my key to getting some of those tags. Because
yeah.
it's challenging even for residents to get the one you want. Because we have to wait till, damn, what is it day? Like July or something. That
Yeah.
we wait to get some of our tags. And that day is a little hectic. So we have return sale days and stuff like that. And every single day it's my little honey holes that I'm the only one there a couple years ago. And now there's 10, 15 people. I'm like, God, man, gotta find the next one. So,
Yeah.
but I can't complain too bad. I get a lot of tags every year. So,
Yeah.
yeah. to complain.
Yeah, I think for me, this Oregon is probably going to be a state I start looking at a little harder for elk hunting anyway, just because it's over the counter. Oregon has a great elk herd. Some of my buddies probably don't want me to say that, but Oregon's a low key state that I don't think a lot of people even think about, because you got Idaho and Montana and Wyoming, but Oregon is definitely, for elk anyway. And if you like blacktail, they got some good blacktail hunting out there as well, but it's just getting ridiculous, man. It's so hard to get a freaking tag. And the non-resident numbers have been capped for so many years. It just seems like more and more people are moving from, all Midwest and the West Coast into these states everyone wants to hunt. So I think in my opinion, it's more resident pressure, because the non-resident tags have been capped forever. So
yeah, I think the resident stuff is like in Idaho, it just goes like the first year. I've been in Idaho for over 10 years now. And the first year I hunted elk here, I killed a bull in archery season early in September. And I went down to Sportsman's and bought a second resident tag and then went back hunting. So, I mean, just 10 years ago, in the middle of September, you could buy your second tag because there were still leftover tags that residents haven't picked up yet. The first few years are like that for me. And then the last few years, you got to buy 2 tags before the season if you want to hunt 2 tags.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I guess it's podcast and Instagram and social media and all that stuff that we're doing, but it's a double-edged sword. It's not all bad. I'm happy to see people in the mountains. No, I'm not happy to see them, but I'm happy people are getting into the mountains, and there's more hunters and more people out there and kind of getting away from the cities at the same time. It's not my backyard thing. Right? I don't want to see them. I want to see them over there.
Yeah. Maybe a different unit over.
Yeah, exactly. Don't come to where I'm hunting. But I don't know. It just makes me push a little bit harder. I work a little bit harder, go a little bit further, check different canyons, and I really, really like checking out new areas. I don't like hunting the same area every single year. And I've talked to guys that hunt the same area for 25 years, and it's not in my brain. I want to check new every couple of years. I get almost bored's the wrong word, but curious. Curious of a new mountain, what's over there, and I'm constantly checking out new spots. So.
Yeah.
So the pressure is, I'd say it doesn't really, getting the tag pressure is definitely part of it. But once I get into the hills, that pressure, I don't feel it too much. So
yeah,
like some people do. I think if you put the work in a little bit, hike a little bit further. I'm into the fitness stuff and making sure I'm fit enough to go wherever the hell I want. And I don't share that. I don't share that experience. A lot of people do, of seeing too many people on occasion. Wyoming was bad, but that was mostly residents. So
yeah, you can't stop that.
No, but it's hard to complain about residents when you're a non-resident going into a state. So
yeah,
but
well, all right, man. Well, I'm about to have a cough attack here. I think a little sick. So it's been almost an hour. Oh, 1 second.
Holy smokes! Go that fast.
Oh. Sorry, I'll cut that out.
Yeah.
Got sick yesterday and it's killing me.
Starting to go around, even around here. Everybody getting sick around here.
I went steelhead fishing and then it was cold and wet, and then I went snowboarding yesterday and I don't think that helped at all. So
I do miss steelhead fishing. I do miss steelhead fishing. I miss the ocean. That's about it. Everything else I can keep.
Yeah.
Do want to get to black. I want to go kill a big mature blacktail. I killed a lot of blacktail when I was a kid, but just like forked horns, 3 points and stuff like that. I definitely need to get back to California, Washington, or Oregon. I go now that I kind of know what I'm doing with hunting. I'd like to go back out and see if I could find a mature blacktail. That's kind of on the bucket list. I don't think it's on many bucket lists for people, but it's on mine. Kind of a nostalgia thing, maybe. But,
yeah, and they're really hard to kill. People that haven't hunted them. In my opinion, I've hunted them a long time, and killing a mature blacktail is freaking tough.
I agree. They're so hard to find. I don't think people understand. Like, people think California think of beaches, but like that Northern California wilderness areas is some of the toughest, most rugged, nasty terrain. Like, there's a ton of wilderness in Northern California. It is so freaking sweet. But I haven't been back since I moved out of there. I definitely like to go check it out again one day. So
yeah, I've been looking at California for bears and for mule deer, but I haven't pulled the trigger yet.
A lot of bears in California. A
Yeah.
lot of bears, especially since I grew up hound hunting in California for bears, and they made that illegal a long time ago. But ever since then, everything I hear about the bear population in California is it's just gangbusters. So
Yeah. Out of control.
yeah,
Yeah.
but good for bear hunters, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah. So,
So
I guess if you could give a couple, some guys that are just getting into hunting or some gals just getting into hunting, you guys have been successful from what I've seen on social media for the last couple of years, every year. What would you, say the priorities would be to be able to fill a tag every year? Would it be e-scouting and draw odds and that kind of stuff, or fitness, or what kind of order would you put that in?
oof, time in the hills probably. That's definitely something I'm fortunate enough to have. I don't have any kids or anything like that. And I know that definitely puts a wrench into things for guys like you, but time in the hills is pretty heavy, especially if you're new, like learning and understanding. And that's definitely something I definitely have on my side. I spend a ton of time in the woods every single year. And somebody's tag, like I said, even that primo Utah tag that we had this year, it still took us 11 days of hunting, and I scouted for 4 days. I mean, we spent 15 days on that hunt until we killed a nice mature bull. And some of these other tags, like I said, that deer I killed in Utah on day one. I've also been hunting that unit for 4 or 5 years now. So I've spent a lot of time learning the unit and spent a lot of time. So I'd say time is a big one, and fitness. I'm pretty heavy. I believe in that one pretty good. When I was a kid, I wasn't so into the fitness, and I had my ass kicked on some pretty heavy hunts that made me essentially quit and not get up early the next morning because you're too tired, you're too sore, whatever it is. But the fitness of being able to go in day after day after day, and you can be as motivated as you want to be, but at a certain point, the soreness and the being tired, you're going to sleep in, you're going to stop. But so if you can stop that, spend a lot of time in the mountains, and be fit enough to go to the top of the peak and get that really good glassing point, I think it'd be pretty good. Don't go back to the camp midday. Stay out there all day. You never know what's going to happen. But time in the woods, I think, is a pretty big one. And that's why I tell most of my fish is top woods.
Yeah, I'd have to agree with you there. I mean, I tell everybody that asks me, buddies and people on Instagram or whatever that send me a message every once in a while, that 10 days minimum. Like if you're going to buy the tag, you got to have 10 days. You think about
Yeah.
the drive time and, if you have to move a couple spots and whatnot, you don't really have that many days to hunt. So I'd say
Yeah.
I'd agree with you. Time, and then I'd say fitness is a huge thing, because I know a lot of guys that after a couple days they're shot. So I'd have to
Yeah,
agree with you there.
definitely. I don't think, man, I can't how many times like day 5 and day 6, when you hit that day 6 and you realize you only have 3 or 4 days left, you're all of a sudden like, man, that went by so fast. Like 10 days sounds like a lot until you're 5 or 6 days in. All of a sudden you feel like you don't have any time. So
Yeah, it seems like the last half of the hunt goes super fast.
yeah, all of a sudden you're like, holy smoke, I'm in trouble.
Yeah, now the
Felt that
pressure's
plenty of
on.
times. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So
Well, I appreciate you hopping on, man. I know it was kind of last
yeah, thanks for
minute.
having me. Or thanks for having me on, man.
Yeah, of course. I'd like to do it again, maybe closer to season or maybe after next season. Let's tell everybody where they can find you on YouTube and Instagram.
Yeah, everything's Wayupwest Outdoors, either at Wayupwest Outdoors, Instagram, YouTube, Facebook. I think that's it. So just try to keep it real. I don't know, just good quality pictures. I just like cameras and I like hunting, so it's a good mix.
Yeah. Yeah, you definitely put out some good looking stuff, man. I got to give you
Thanks, man.
credit
Appreciate
there.
it.
Stuff
Thank you.
looks awesome.
Means a lot, especially the guy running the camera. You know how much work we got to put in.
Definitely. Definitely. All right, man. Well, I appreciate you hopping on, and yeah, let's stay in touch, and I'll catch you on the next one.
It was good. Let's do it again.
All right, man.